It Looks Like Us by Alison Ames is a young adult horror novel. I didn't know much about this one. I think I found out about it because it was mentioned by Holly Hart's Books, and she said this is a homage to John Carpenter's The Thing, which is one of my favorite films. It's in my top 10. So this one is about Riley. She is a young adult, I think a junior high schooler who has some mental health issues, a lot of problems with anxiety. She basically is a bit of a problem child, and when she discovers there's a special expedition to Antarctica, she is able to win and then pay for it with her parents' help in order to get a fresh start. It'll look good on her resume for starters, but basically her and a bunch of other teenagers from around the world will go to Antarctica to collect ice samples for an eccentric billionaire named Anton Rusk. Obviously, I wonder what eccentric billionaire this character is based off of, with a name so subtle. But anyways, the teenagers go there and they have a chaperone, scientist lady. There's a couple characters. They're all introduced. They're very snarky. They all have their own pasts, and they start doing their work. However, one night, their chaperone is attacked, maybe. Our main character has hallucinations sometimes because of her issues, so she's not sure, but there is actually a shape-shifting creature up there, which the billionaire wants to get his grubby hands on. And the teenagers are basically without a chaperone, with a shape-shifting creature on their tail, and they have to survive their little trip, survive a storm, and basically try to make it out alive. So I didn't know that this was a young adult novel, but it reads like one for sure. I don't really read young adult novels anymore. I used to a lot more, but then I think I kind of grew out of them as I got older. But this one just has a lot of weird things going on in it. First off, way too many pop culture references. It really took me out. I mean, people don't speak like that in real life, but I guess if you try to throw one at at each other, too many times, it just starts to take you out. Like imagine you're walking through a corridor, you're like, oh, this is so scary, like The Shining. It felt like it was trying too hard in that regard. The characters, I do like the change. Like, obviously, this is a homage to The Thing. The only difference being that instead of grown men on an expedition, they are teenagers, male and female. And then we find out more about them and why they were chosen, or not chosen, but how they're allowed to do this, which is probably the only original bone that this book has in its body. There are just some straight up rip-off. Like there's a huge difference between homage and just like copying the story. There's even a scene where they make a flamethrower and they heat up some coil to stick in blood. It's the exact same thing as the blood test. The only thing that really going for it is I kind of like the ending, but the movie also does, not the movie, the book does a mistake of starting the book off by having our main character telling us what happened, which is bad because we know that she survived already, and you shouldn't do that. I mean, if you were to make a movie of this, the best way to keep this in suspense would be having the expedition rescue team be like, we found someone, and then you don't reveal who it is, and then flash back to like the teenagers going into the building or whatever. So the book already fails in that regard in terms of suspense, but it has a unique ending. I like the ending. The ending's okay. It's probably the only best part of the book I liked. The book is short. It's a fast-paced book. It's a lot of just characters talking about, we need to get here, we need to do this, we need to do that. The villain's awful. Anton Rusk is basically just like a giant mustache-curling villain with no redeeming qualities. He doesn't have much of a presence. It's just weird. I do like the conflict. Some of the characters do have some bad fates, and there's some cool monster stuff going on, but it's basically just a rip-off of The Thing. It's one thing to say, oh, this is inspired by it, but like it's just too many similarities. It's just a young adult version of The Thing. So overall, I did finish the book. I had to kind of like force myself. I've had this book for many, many weeks, but it's just okay. I mean, it's worth checking out if you like The Thing, but it's not high art. It's entertaining at the very least, but it had a lot of like faults to it. So I give It Looks Like Us a 2 out of 5.